It's Croctober, the official celebration of Crocs fans like you. So whether you like to rock your classic clogs, get cozy and fuss-lined, personalize with your favorite Jibbitz charms, or even, dress up like a clog for Halloween, it's time to tell your story and share your style. Join the Croctober celebration with Crocs fans around the world. Go to crocs.com to discover the range of shoes and find a pair that's iconic like you. Crocs, celebrating you all month long.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Power Rankings. Oh my God, it's week 9. Week 8 is done. It's dusted. It's dead. It's gone. Election next week. Don't forget to vote. If either of these two guys were running, they'd get my vote. The real BK, Bob Kelly, Hollywood Ray, Rayshawn Buchanan. Welcome, gentlemen. We're going to talk about the NFL. We just wrapped up a lovely MTP Boston, which also exists on this feed. We talk Celtics, we talk Pats, we talk week 9 predictions, but we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the NFL season. Big news this week. Indianapolis has officially replaced their young, up-and-coming quarterback on performance with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is now the Indianapolis quarterback. Bobby, would you have done it?
He tapped out of a game. He was a starting NFL quarterback, and he tapped out of a game because he was tired. Yes, I would have done it. He was 10 of 32.
Not a great look. Coach did come out and say he's still our guy. He gave all the lip service. He did all the things. What you're saying, you would have just made him keep playing?
I can't believe that. That's literally never happened before in quarterback NFL history.
Yeah, Jake Cutler did it in the NFC Championship game. He just pretended he was hurt. He had the good decency to pretend he was hurt.
No,
Ray, what do you think? What do you think's going on down there? You think he's not the guy?
Well, I mean, I'm biased to him because obviously he's a Gator and I'm a Florida Gator fan for college football, but
really fun to watch at times.
Absolutely. But the thing is, him coming out last year, when there was a lot of talk about him, being, pushed into the first round, I thought that was a mistake because I'm just like, if the word raw had a picture in the dictionary, it was going to be a picture of him. And
funny enough, if you go down a little bit and you find raw dog, it's a picture of me. Crazy.
There you go. Well, he should have been a day 2 or day 3 pick. No, it's awesome. I love it. But this might be, if it's not the end of his career, it's probably going to be close to it, especially in Indianapolis. I think his coach made the right decision by not bringing him back on the field, because you can't let that be the precedent, saying that, hey, you could quit on me mid-game and think that you still have a locker room. So I thought that was the right decision, but it's not a control that once again it spiraled out of hand that quickly. But yeah, we get to see the new Broadway Joe do his thing. So we're gonna see how it unfolds.
Yeah, it's tough. Joe Flacco is basically the Grim Reaper for quarterbacks now. He comes in and he's going to make it, not only is he going to replace you and play better than you, he's just really going to rub in that you had the weapons, you just didn't know how to use them. So I do feel a little bit bad for Anthony Richardson now, because I do actually think Joe Flacco is going to probably look pretty good despite being like 1,000 years old, but he just seems to have this superpower. So, and he already looked kind of good coming in for him.
He was better.
For injury. So we saw a little preview of it
already this season.
Yeah.
And has won multiple games for the Colts.
Yeah. Speaking of better, the Ravens wide receiver core is now better. In other news, Deontay Johnson has been traded to the Ravens. We're going to have to stop opening up the show with trade talk soon. The deadline's approaching. Teams are making moves. This I would classify as quite a big one. Lamar's got no excuses now, Bob. I mean, at this point, right? Like, he's got weapons everywhere. How do you think this is going to go for them? I kind of like the idea, like to your point, just the look of him in the jersey. I like the idea of Deontay Johnson in a Ravens jersey. I think it looks good. It's a slap in the added bonus for the Ravens, that it's an extra slap in the face to the Steelers to bring him back to the division on your side with a pretty legit QB throwing to him. So what do you think?
The Ravens have lost multiple games this season because of their wide receivers dropping balls. So, I mean, it's a good pickup. It's been a problem in Baltimore for years. So bringing Deontay's got great hands. He always has. I do kind of like the idea of sticking it to the Steelers. That kind of gives me a little bit of a.
Well, you do it every week by not putting them in their proper place in the power rankings, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. What are you a Deontay Johnson fan, Ray?
I mean, I like his game. I think, but I feel the same way as Bobby. I can't. I hope that there's a way that he, when they played in a few weeks, that he's able to just go crazy against Pittsburgh. I think that would be awesome. But I want to say that Pittsburgh traded him away to Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. So, which is basically right now, football purgatory. So
It's a
I'm
tough place
glad
to have to go play your football. That's for sure true. It was mean. It was
right.
mean of them.
So yeah, so I'm sure there's never been someone happier to leave from Carolina to go to Maryland. So I'm sure that he's gonna do well out there. It's a nice addition for him, Bateman, Zay Flowers. Yes, Mark Andrews is still the feature guy there, but I
Two
would
tutties
say,
last week. That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
He can still do stuff. I know
yeah,
he's
he's
I know
still a problem. To me, I feel like, Isaiah likely has become more of that,
he's a wide receiver. Let's be
feature.
honest.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying, like, just his big body, more of that Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey type of
Yeah.
tight end.
Vertical.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That big vertical threat.
I
So
like him a lot. I'm a big fan
yeah,
of his.
good weapon there. So yeah, like I said, 22 is still the guy and still doing a lot of great things. Yeah, they're shaping up to be a really good offense the second half of the season.
All right, gentlemen, it's time to cross teams off. Let me tell you who we've already done it to. The Jags, no surprise there. The Panthers, stinky, stinky place to play your football. We just talked about it. The Raiders, wouldn't gamble on them, Las Vegas or not. The Browns, Browntown, despite defeating the Ravens.
Fun, though. Jameis is fun.
I know.
Jameis is always fun.
This is fun every year when he comes in.
They're at least going to be back on red zone.
Jameis is going to do exactly what he did in New Orleans. He's going to do exactly what he did in Tampa. He's going to come in and he's going to throw 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody. I absolutely agree. Does not change the fact that they are crossed off as fuck, and I'm not worried about them coming back. The 2-6 Pats, glad we didn't cross them off. Almost crossed them off last week. We had Mike on here stomping his feet, yelling, just carrying a pitchfork, leading an angry mob up to the Missing the Point offices. One Manhattan Plaza, Manhattan. Here in Missing the Point, penthouse. And what happened? Mike at the bottom shaking his fist.
Man.
Gotta cross off the Pats. Gotta cross off the Pats. And then they go and beat the prodigal son of the NFL and Aaron Rodgers. And you know what? I'm immunized. I'm immunized against that hatred. And I'm really glad we didn't cross off the Pats. Now, listen, we talked a lot about the New England Patriots in the show. If you want to go and talk about them on this feed. But Ray, you're not surely going to advocate for a team coming off a win to be crossed off, are you?
No, not yet, but we're super close, man. We're real close. Like, it's not something where
Drake Maye might be that guy. Hear more about it on the other feed.
It's like we're literally hanging on by a thread here. So I mean, listen, they came off a gutsy win. Like I said, you can hear more about that on the MTP Boston show that we just did. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think, to me, they've showed some promise at times, but yeah, we'll see if they're able to string something together. But they're closer to cross-offs, but they live to fight another day or another week.
They're still firmly here fighting in the gladiatorial pit, which is the worst teams in the NFL. The cross-off list, I'm Missing the Point. But definitely do go listen to the deep dive on the other show. It's on the feed. It's for your listening pleasure. It's us. We're doing great. Bobby, any case you want to make for crossing off the Pats, or is it just fun to let it ride at this point?
We let it ride. Just especially because it causes Mike pain. Yeah,
because it makes Mike mad. Love it. Love it. I really have enjoyed that. We crossed off the 1-6 Titans, which they're going to play the Patriots. So it might be a loser leaves town match. We'll see. I think if the Pats lose to the Titans, we might have to take them out back behind the woodshed. I mean, that's just
absolutely.
I mean, at that point, the joke was we might start losing credibility. You know what I mean? All right. The Titans are already crossed. The 3-4 Rams. The Rams are probably team most likely to crawl out of this pit and get into the honorable mentions. Puka's back. Cooper Kupp's back. Definitive Sean McVay with his 1997 my third grade class spiky up hair being like, hey, we're going to trade Cooper. Okay. We're going to try and win some games. I like Sean McVay. I like Cooper Kupp. I like Puka Nacua. I like the Los Angeles Rams, even though it's still weird for me. They're not the St. Louis Rams anymore. I am betting on these guys crawling out of the cross-offs for at least a little while. they're fun to watch when those wide receivers are on the field,
Yeah,
guys.
no, for sure.
Absolutely.
I like it. I like it. We'll see what happens with the Los Angeles Rams. 2-5 Saints.
I'm a Matt Stafford guy, so I want to see him do well.
Yeah. So I mean, now that he's not in my division anymore, and I do think there's ways to beat him, and he is 1,000. We are seeing his age. I think, these
Right.
days. We are definitely seeing his age these days. But you know what? He's still a gamer. You know, like I still appreciate that he was like playing tough out there. His banged up old man body. You know, you get it to a certain level of respect with me when you've taken that many hits and you can take him in a certain way and you get up and keep playing. He's a rub some dirt in a guy. I like him a lot. That being said, the Saints are awful. They will not come marching in. They've been smashed again. Can we cross these off, Bob?
Yeah,
Can we
the
cross
Saints
these
are
guys
done.
off? I know that they were in the power rankings at one point. Well, I mean, this fall from grace should be studied. But
That's sad.
yeah, we're crossing off the Saints. Ray, and anything you have to say or forever hold your peace about crossing these?
Yeah, I mean, listen, but they started out 2-0 and they literally scored on every possession.
Offense looked great. Offense looked great.
Yeah, looking like the greatest offensive ever of all time.
Listen, they were all over
And it's
red
like,
zone
you know,
those
obviously,
first 2 weeks. That's why they're on.
Yeah, it was look, all over red zone for TV, and then literally all in the end zone. So I mean,
Alvin Kamara could have been the MVP if he kept playing the way he was playing.
No,
To be
facts,
totally
facts.
honest with you.
Yeah, they just
Not his fault that they're bad.
Yeah,
by the
no,
way.
yeah, no, it's not bad. Like I said, for them to want to lose 5-6 in a row since then is wild. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, there's no real reason to say, hey, they deserve to be in that list of like holding up for another week. Their season is essentially over. It's just a matter of how many games they're gonna lose.
They should just.
Bobby, the Cardinals are 4-4. They might be an honorable mention.
I was actually going to bring.
Genuinely when they beat up on the shitty Chicago.
I was going to bring it up while they were still in the cross-offs. I feel like 500 should be the marker level for the cross-offs and the honorable mentions.
All right, great. Let's talk about them quickly in the honorable mentions. I'll run through the last two. Giants, potential cross-off, beat up by the Steelers. They're going to go lose to the Commanders next week. Let's be honest. They're going to be 2-7. We could probably cross them now. Dable went from looking like a real fiery sort of Dan Campbell, you know, a good coaching mind. I know they took away everything he had as a weapon, but he just looked like a petulant little bitch against the Steelers. Like he was just bitch moaning and complaining about literally everything, just screaming and stomping his feet. And I know that he's probably just trying to go down with the ship and like save any like sort of last bastion of whatever. And I think he did have that team prepared in the first half, but man, you really do just see like just a huge quality difference emerge over the course of that game. The Steelers could have won by a lot more, and like the Giants are not a good football team. I think Neighbors is really good, but I also think he's starting to be like, dude, what am I out here getting fucking beat up for? You know, like what am I out here getting my ass kicked for? You know, so he has to be their whole entire offense. Like Daniel Jones just isn't good. So I don't know. Can we cross him?
They're cross. I've been out on Dabo ever since I saw him have his feet out.
Since he lost weight, he was cooler as a fat guy.
He had his feet up every single meeting that he had with anyone on that hard knock the past year. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. I just, you know, he looked like an asshole.
He had a weak handshake. He didn't make eye contact. He had a weak handshake. He didn't call me Mr. Kelly. I mean, you know, I just didn't like the prom date.
That's hilarious. That's funny, man. Wow. Yeah, see.
I'm going to keep the Jets uncrossed. I'm going to keep them uncrossed.
Wow.
I think that they should be a cross-up, but apparently they're the favorites against the very high in the power rankings.
Houston that's tough.
That's tough. So I'm starting to worry that people know something I don't know, you know? I mean, maybe they think once Devontae starts to get comfortable.
But I'm like, even then, it's been 2 games where he's got 6 catches for like 75 yards combined. Like it's
I mean, once you fire your coach, though, like, have you ever seen a team have a good season after that?
No. But I mean, also, but additionally, I personally think, and I think this dude is talented. What I'm about to talk about, but I think that it was real weak of us on Reddick to now all of a sudden, once you got Devontae Adams, to be like, oh, well, yeah, I'll play, guys. Once again, what message are you sending to the locker room that, you wanted your holdout, you wanted your money, you wanted your trade, but once they get another talented player in there that you felt was going to raise the stakes for you guys to start winning games, now you want to come back and play like that? That's super soft.
That super just so dysfunctional, like, man.
It's a joke.
That's one thing on a laundry list of problems that they have over there, and it like starts at the top with Rodgers, right? Like the guy he's toxic.
Yep. But that's why I was so mad, or I have been mad that we didn't find a way to stay competitive down at Route 1. And like I said, it's not going to be a whole picture show, but I'm saying like the AFC East was just really Buffalo to worry about. Everyone else has been, kind of up and down. So I just felt like you got to find a way to get it done. But once again, I absolutely love the fact that the Jets have, fell this far from grace. And once again, like Shannon Sharp said, couldn't happen to a better guy. So it's
honestly,
great. It's great.
Just on that note, like the franchise in the AFC East, and this is probably a reflection of the bitterness I built up during a certain period of my football watching life, but the AFC East should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Like they collectively were so bad for the entirety of the Patriots' dominance. Like it's not the Steelers being good where they get beat up by every other team in their division. It's not the Packers being good where everybody plays them really fucking hard. Like every single time they play them, like even if their teams aren't good, that AFC East was just diabolically bad in the 2000s, the 2010s. They just had nobody. You're watching Mark Sanchez trot out onto the field against Tom Brady. You know what's going to happen. And it's just like, I really think it's you have to admit it's a contributing factor in the 6 Super Bowls because like I don't know, they could walk 6 games a season. Like that. So you're coming into the playoffs feeling fresh, healthy, and winning. Bye weeks no matter what. Bye weeks.
Not like they're playing in the AFC North.
Well, that had been right. That had been an argument I think for years, and I understand why.
It's not the Pat's fault. I'm not.
No, I'm saying I understand that was I understand why that was the first point that was usually made in those arguments. But then when I gave my retort, when I would say, well, look at what they did to the NFC teams too. Everyone got the work. Everybody. It wasn't like, oh, once again, yeah. Was it cool to be in the AFC East and know that you could get 5 to 6 wins a year? Absolutely. But when they went across the pond, so to speak, and played against NFC teams, with the exception of the Giants and I'm trying to think maybe 2 other teams, it was quiet. It was quiet for a lot of teams. So
that's very true. It's very reminiscent of what the Chiefs do now. Whenever they venture over to the other conference, it's just about being the best teams. And you're right. I mean, it's hard to say. I'm not criticizing the Patriots because I do agree that Tom Brady's hands were rated for everybody for sure. But I think that the rest of those organizations, like this is the best those 3 teams have ever been. You know what I mean? Like in our lifetimes. So, and they're all still like, Buffalo. Okay. They've got some. They're going to be the kings of that division now, because the competition's piss poor. Like they're still a flawed team. They're still.
They also have the best quarterback in the division, so that matters.
Are we
we
officially calling the Jets the most disappointing team of the last 10 years? I think they are.
No, I'm not disappointed at all. I feel great about them being shitty.
Expectations. As far as the expectations go, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That was a big letdown for sure.
Yeah, you can't come in and basically they were painting it as like, oh, like, well, all of our problems will be solved when Abe comes back, and then obviously, try to stay healthy, and you got guys like Breece Hall, and you're right, they were legit 4-4. They went 4-4 last year with Zach Wilson at this time. 4-4.
Yeah. And Zach Wilson was playing some diabolical quarterback football. Like he was playing some bad football.
So it just really goes to show that, and once again, this has been said, this has been a recycle point the last week and a half, but it's accurate. People saw what Brady did going to Tampa, or you see what Peyton Manning did going to Denver, and you thought that, I can replicate that too. No, you can't. Because those are the 2 best quarterbacks to play this game. Almost exactly 2 of the best. So
almost exactly what everyone said was going to happen in New York happened in Pittsburgh instead.
Yep. Right.
Like on almost every note for the last few weeks, you can see it. It's like veteran QB comes in. Is he going to be the last piece? The defense is good. I mean, it just if I described to you exactly the Jets storyline, they got a veteran QB, but he came in. It doesn't really seem like it's working with the head coach. The head coach got shit canned because it was like going the wrong way. Well, you would not have said that was the Jets. You wouldn't have guessed Jets coming into this. But I mean, you see what Aaron Rodgers' toxic personality does to these teams. Okay, we're not going to cross the Jets off, but they are hanging by a thread, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Bobby, the 3-4 Cowboys, they were beat by the Niners. They didn't look altogether
The
awful.
defense looks better.
They're playing the
The
Falcons
defense
now.
looks better.
The defense did look better. It did look better. It's not as if you don't have good personnel there. I think what I'm still taking from the Cowboys season, and tell me if I'm wrong, is it wasn't your coordinators last year, because those guys seem to be finding success elsewhere quite a bit when it comes to the defensive coordinator. I think Mike McCarthy might not be a good coach, and I know we sort of hit on this every week. I think he's been propped up by good football minds in the past, but you're now under 500 to start out a season for the first time and since we started this podcast, I think. And I just want to know what sort of your outlook is on everything, what you want to see him do going forward. And were you encouraged watching that 49ers game, or was it just
It's
more
the
of the
same.
same? And you know,
No, it's the same bullshit. I mean, even it looking like it was a close game was kind of a facade. You know what I mean? They got dominated in that game.
it was a little bit of a true game. I
Yeah,
agree.
they got dominated in that game. It was never actually really close. Dak Prescott is making the same stupid fucking mistakes.
It's the second time Dak has done that too, right? Where he kind of looked like he was going to come back, but not
They-
really, and then it just sort of
Dude, they do
tapers
this
out.
shit every year, and it's just I feel like it's a broken record of me with this team every goddamn year. It really is, because the thing is Blu-ray over there. It was the Dak. He doesn't have it in the red zone anymore. He really doesn't. And the diabolical interceptions that he throws are just unbelievable. Mike McCarthy and his West Coast offense, bro, needs to go. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but every year it's the same exact thing. You see the issues that are there and they don't address them. And then it's the exact same thing in the season where it's like, listen, we addressed all these. We knew that these were the issues you needed to address in the offseason, and you don't. And it's the same thing every single.
It's really strange to me that
It's
yeah, it's really strange to me that the Cowboys still look like they have about probably 11 plays in their playbook that they're actually allowing Dak to choose and run. And it looked like that last year. And then you watch Kellen Moore go over to Philadelphia, and he looks like he's got a whole novel to choose from over there. Like, and I guess weapons are a factor, and I understand that. But Ray, like, do you think that it's a Dallas problem? Is it a Mike McCarthy problem? Because like we're seeing guys go offensively and do much more creative, much more modern things than they did in Dallas. Multiple examples of this. But then in Dallas, under McCarthy specifically, you're running this really simple West Coast offense where essentially if you don't have Aaron Rodgers running the Mike McCarthy system, it doesn't really look very dynamic, right? So I don't know. I mean, can you speak to that?
I think it's a personnel standpoint. Obviously, when you know that
It
you're
would help
only
if they had a backfield with like some options they could actually
right,
like
but
move the
it's
ball.
to think about, and like I said, I think Shannon Sharp brought it up, or Ryan Clark, one of the guys brought it up on the show. Derrick Henry said he wanted to be a Cowboy.
that's what I mean.
He said it. It was Marcus Spears. That's but he said I live in Dallas. He said I live in Texas in the off season, trained there. He was like, I was prepared to be a Cowboy. Had we had the conversation. He said they never called. I said never. I said wow, never called. Never called. So once again, you lost Pollard, right? To Tennessee. Okay. You bring back a familiar face in Zeke. And once again, Zeke was not terrible last year in New England. He had a pretty good year. But
not
he's
not with an empty running back room. You can't.
No, right.
Like,
He's not an everyday down, every down back anymore, right? Get that. Cool. But 22 still is. That 22, that man is still a absolute problem in the backfield.
Couldn't afford him though, right? We couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford him though. That's what Jerry said.
Yeah, they must have known they must have known where those Dak negotiations were going. I mean, essentially they must have known, right? Like that their salary was going to get blown up.
$6 million, Bobby. $6 million. You tell me $6 million. He's not worth $6 million.
Didn't he get like 13?
Yeah, it was like 2 years, 22 mil, something like that.
Something like that. But I'm like, I'm sorry. Like you know what I'm saying? He ended up getting more for Baltimore, but I'm saying he legit would have taken less to be in Dallas. And Jerry said, no, I'm really good, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like guys that would have took the discount, you're like, nah, I'm straight. That's wild.
I'll be honest, you're lucky you missed that because it was during your time where you went insane. So you just completely missed all the lack of movement of the Dallas backfield. When I went to see Bobby in the hospital, listeners, I was like, "Do you know what's going on with the Cowboys?" He was like, "No." I was like, "That's good. That's good."
Nothing was
Because it's the
happening.
offseason and they had not signed a running back.
It was
I
just
was like, you
so
know what?
obvious
Honestly, first bright spot of this
what
whole
the
ordeal.
biggest need was of the offseason, and they just decided not to address it. They just decided not to.
You know that
Right.
meme?
Right.
You know that
Right.
meme of like the cartoon character standing there with a stick, like poking a snail, being like, "Come on, do something." That was the entire Dallas Cowboys offseason in their backfield. And I'm not discrediting Dowdle. I think he's a good. Wait, Dowdle? Which one's the running? No, Tolbert's the wide receiver. Dowdle's the running back, right? So
Yeah.
Dowdle, I like. I think he's a really tenacious runner, but it's very like he's like a great RB2, I think. Like a really, really, really top one. He's not Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was really he runs in a really tenacious and like specific way where he can make plays for you when the play breaks down, when he can be dynamic. The level of dynamism that you lost by losing him was quite a lot. I don't know. I guess it's like, let's see if Dak can. I don't know. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's still a top 3 wide receiver. I think he's sick. I think he's got great hands. He's got bad body language on the sidelines every week. I don't know. I don't know what's going on down there, but I feel like it's on the brink of.
He's got bad body language because Dad's throwing unbelievably horrible interceptions every single week. It's every single week he throws. He throws a worse one.
Great.
I feel like
every time I have CeeDee Lamb in our fantasy league, and I feel like every time I watch him live play for my fantasy team in real life, I'm like, he could have 75 points if Dak Prescott would just like put the ball in the right place. Like it's upsetting. But hey, listen, we'll check back in on them when they go and lose to the Falcons. Or what do you think, Bobby?
No,
You think they're
going
to win?
They're going to lose.
Okay, well, sorry to bury the lead on the predictions on the other show, but Ray, anything more to add on Dallas before we move on?
No, I just think that they should look to be buyers, before next week's deadline.
Totally.
I think that they are in desperate need of a wide receiver badly. I don't know if there's any running backs out there, but I feel like you need to go get another running back as well. I feel like that would do a lot of justice to that offense.
It's add insult to injury that Kareem Hunt came in and is like just got off
right.
the couch.
I mean, if he was in the system, he was going to come back into it.
I know, but it's a little insult to injury, right?
Well, yeah, it's wild because he legit was sitting on the couch and just came back and just said, "Okay, well, I can give you, a attempts for 50 yards or 3 catches for 30." It's just like, wow, like 80 all-purpose yards just like that. Like that's insane. So, yeah, I mean, once again, it's to use your statement as the dereliction of duty. I can't say it as well as you, but I tried. Jerry Jones just didn't do it. he just didn't do it, and Stephen Jones didn't do it, and whoever else is the brain trust over there, like didn't do it in due diligence, and it's showing up. And now a team that had won 12 games, 3 years in a row, is looking, pretty light, in the positions where you need skill the most. So, if I'm Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, I'm on the phone saying, "Hey, what would it take to get X, Y, Z player?" So we'll see if they actually do something, but we'll see how Jerry believes in the team. Because if so, maybe he gets something done. If not, then they'll have to wait until the off season.
Yeah, I mean, deadline moves. I think it's a really good point. I think, Bobby, that's basically your last hope. I think if they need to actually go and make a splash in the next few days to address some key areas, and then maybe they can salvage this season because they do still have a lot of good players. And you're right that the defense was looking better week on week. So we'll see. I'm not ready to write them off yet, but we should show them a photo of the cross-off section. We should just post a photo of the cross-off section in the locker room. Just let them know they're fucking flirting with it. Speaking of flirting with the cross-offs, speaking of flirting with their place in my life, the Chicago Bears basically endured the worst loss of any team in any sport of all time in the history of the human race. A little context, listeners. I don't know why you guys chose to do this, but after this. I'm not even really sure this podcast is happening. I might be rocking back and forth in a fucking padded room right now, to be totally honest. I want you guys to know you were not the only people I lashed out at. I lashed out at everybody except for my wife because I'm not allowed to do that. But I lashed out at everyone. I felt something. And I'm really serious when I say this. You say you're surprised I'm not insane. When that Hail Mary happened, and it was just the easiest catch in the world, the tip to the easiest catch in the world. I felt something break in my brain. I felt something go like, bing, and I was just like, I have no idea what just happened. Since then, context, sorry, listeners. I went into the Discord because the Commanders were going to get the ball back. Ray had complimented me for the win. Mike had said, I wish that Caleb had thrown the ball to Kmet for the touchdown instead of the 2-pointer for his fantasy team, and then said, good win, though. And then Bobby was like, wow, bottom of the division at fucking 5-2. It's crazy. You're jinxing Bucks.
Here, I said, what a finish. I didn't say good win. I said, what a finish. Mike said the win, and then when that shit happened, I said, what a finish.
The rage cloud that descended in front of my eyes. I admit you guys all got machine gunned for no reason. Like, I now see that, but I was very upset. I also was like completely disgusted with the commentators because they were doing the same thing. They were going, I mean, it'd take a miracle now, wouldn't it? I mean, surely this game is done and dusted. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I was actively telling, I was like, it's not a win yet. Everyone shut up. I was telling so many different people to shut up on so many different fucking fronts that, I had a group text with my boys. I was like, Dave, you fucking, that was crazy. What a great drive idea. Shut up. So what happens? Well, a few things. One, Eberflus doesn't call a timeout before the Hail Mary, which makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no fucking sense. You call a timeout in that situation, you get everybody ready. You just tell everybody it's time to focus. The game's not over. There's enough time on the clock. Secondly, they get a little out route to stop the clock out of bounds with nobody around them to actually put themselves in a position for a Hail Mary. You don't play defense that soft, not in that situation. You don't let them get that in the first place. You definitely put 2 high, obviously, 3 high even, but just cover a little bit the middle of the field. It's okay. It's you've been doing it all game. You've held them to 3 points every single drive that they came down the field. So just do the thing you've been doing. It's all good. Just play defense. Right. They've been playing decent situational football the last few weeks. This was too much in the way of situational football, too much down that road. So that's a little bit of a dereliction of duty. Then Edmonds is spying Jaden Daniels on the Hail Mary. I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. So let me explain to you folks at home how the game of football works. If you cross the line of scrimmage as the quarterback, you could have potentially 10 guys sprinting at you like Vikings from the fucking end zone, right? Sprinting at you. You're not. Let me tell you a play that doesn't exist in football. The Hail Mary QB sneak.
Oh my God.
So that goes a little bit back to the timeout, right? Like, call the fucking timeout, and then maybe somebody goes, I don't think we should put a spy on Jaden Daniels. That seems like absurd. He only rushes 2. A lot of Bears fans are going to want me to address this because this is obviously happening in the discourse. There was holds on the thing. And Hail Mary is just like a free play to win. No, guys. No. Nope. We're not doing that. Sorry. I'm just here to declare into a microphone that we're not that fan base. Okay? We're not bitching about the refs in a situation where we lost the game. It was, I thought my first instinct as it all happened, like a car crash in front of me, I thought, it's a miracle. It's a crazy play. It's just like bad luck. The more you look into it, the more mistakes you can find. Guess what? I'm not done. Stevenson is facing, I shit you not, the other way.
4 seconds.
There's a photo.
Waving to the crowd. He's waving.
There's a photo of Bears fans going, bro, fucking football is happening. That thing that you're paid to do. I will also add, my man poked a dude in the eye earlier and gave up 15 yards. I quite frankly, he got cooked. He got cooked by Terry McLaurin. Then Terry McLaurin walked off the field, got slow-mo filmed going, you ain't shit, to him over and over again. Then he kind of defended him, and then he kind of dapped him up. And I was like, my man, I think you're a good football player. I rate you highly. I've enjoyed your playing defensive back for my team so far this year. If it were up to me, you would never see the inside of a Bears facility from here to the end of fucking time. I would make it so that the U.S. law, the Supreme Court, would ban only you from saying the words Chicago or Bears ever again for the rest of your life. I will never forgive him. I will never forgive him. It was tantamount to Chase Claypool celebrating a first down for the Steelers when the clock was running and they didn't have any timeouts. Do you remember that like 2 seasons ago at the end of the year? I wanted to reach through the screen and snatch his soul right out of his fucking body. I was furious.
So
and I haven't even said this yet. He's the guy who tipped
the one who tipped it.
Right. Yeah,
it's make this shit up.
Instant karma. Yep. I was like, wow. But the reason why I could sympathize so much, I was watching the Miami Miracle happen in Miami. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings seeing Rob Gronkowski fall, and Kenny and Drake ran right by him and scored a touchdown to win the game. So believe me, Dave, I understand. Believe
that was
me,
worse than any double doink. It was worse than any double doink. It was insane. Here's the thing, guys. And I'm so sorry to have to say this out loud, but I have a message to the entire Chicago Bears team and organization. Prevent defense means no one's behind you.
Right.
You know who also knows that? My fucking 6-year-old nephew.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let guys behind you in a situation like that. Also, it's not a tip drill. Also, back to Eberflus. What was the personnel, dude? Dear God. Get the hands team out there, son. Where's Cole Kmet? Where's Roma Dunze? It's a Hail Mary at the end. Where are all my 6'2" motherfuckers that can jump out of the goddamn stadium on the bench watching their fucking team lose? It's a special teams play at that point, Matt. Honestly, it's a special teams play at that point. Put the hands team out there, you fucking buffoon. They looked completely unprepared. For that situation. And I was just talking to my wife about this. I support 3 teams with a real diehard passion in 3 separate sports. Liverpool Football Club, who are a soccer team. The Boston Celtics, who are a basketball team. And the Chicago Bears. Now, 2 out of those 3 teams hang fucking banners. They fucking put trophies in closets. So my outlook is that of sports royalty most of the time. And then I got to go watch this gang of morons just do the thing that my sport royalty teams never do, which is celebrate before the fucking fat lady sings in a goddamn sports game. You make me sick. I have no words. I'll tell you my one bright side, my one bright spot. We played like ass in that game on the offensive side of the ball. The whole offensive scheme looked like shit again. And it just seemed to me like Shane Waldron couldn't put together an offensive drive against a team with more than 1 win on the season. That's what it looked like to me for most of the game. And then at the end, I think Caleb Williams played a little hero ball. Decided the fourth quarter was his, drove down the field, scored. It shouldn't have even been a position. Those idiots handed it off to Doug Kramer on the 1-yard line because you're getting cute on the road when you're down by 1 fucking touchdown. Quite frankly, I had their papers drawn up after that. I had their fucking walking papers drawn up after that. I don't know how we possibly continue this cycle. Ben Johnson then comes out. Basically, they leak it on background. The Lions are so smart. They were like, now leak the thing where you were you wanted to be the Bears head coach and you're the best offensive coordinator in football. And you wanted to be the Bears head coach, but they wanted to stick with Eberflus. So you decided to stick with the Lions. Now leak that story just to kick us while we're down. Just to kick, because I you know what, I don't even discredit them for it because they should. This team deserves every level of ridicule that they got this day. And you know who the guy I feel bad for is? I feel bad for Caleb Williams, a very clearly talented guy who should have had a game-winning drive under his belt, and now he doesn't. That's all I got to say about those fucking losers.
Listen, we don't have to get to the top 10. Like
that was enough. Yeah.
I only want to be on the show just for the red. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the list. I just want to hear the red. Like I'm good. Like that was beautiful. It was great. It was great.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for listening.
No, the only thing I'll say is like, listen.
Is it going to break their brains though now? Like, how do they recover from this?
They have the hardest schedule for the rest of the season too.
I know.
I mean, how you bounce back is that you get a chance to smack New England the next week. That's how you bounce back. But
the Cardinals and then the Patriots, like it's kind of does
yeah, I
wash
mean,
out.
well, I'm saying Arizona sucks too, but it's just like I feel like they find a way. Once again, I think that the focus, once again, it's not like they made 1,000 mistakes and it was like, oh, like
We
it's like
literally played their offense better, their defense better than any other team has so far this season. Like that was what I was taking from the game is that the defense
right.
just looked good. They couldn't run the ball on us. They couldn't move it. He wasn't cutting us up too much on the ground. We put them in a position where he had to throw the ball and win, and he had like one or two big explosive plays. But we basically our red zone defense looked super elite, and then
Right.
they do that.
Yes, I mean you bounce back because it's this is cliche, but it's like it's your job to figure it out. Okay, it happened. All
Players are
right,
turning on the coaches though. Like there's
yeah.
some
I was
shit.
like,
Jay Moore's
no,
like,
hey, if they not turn on the coach. But once again, like you said, 20. Listen, if I was a Bears fan like you, like I said today or like I said on that Sunday night, you're not at 29. You're not getting on the plane. Forget about the facility. You're not even on the fucking plane. Stay down here. Stay down here in Landover, Maryland. You're gonna stay there at FedEx Field, wherever it's called now, and you just stay down here because there's no way that you're getting back on the plane. Because by the time you get to the showers, I'm punching you in the fucking face. Like
they should full metal jacket that. They should all just put bars of soap in they should just put bars of soap in fucking pillowcases.
Right. It's just like, there's no way. And, to add to your point about the prevent thing, like, remember, there was a great football show when we was growing up called NFL Prime Time with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. And one thing they should always say, the prevent defense prevents you from winning. And that's exactly what fucking happened. You could, once again, someone should have been right
Just
behind
play
that wide
defense.
receiver.
Yeah.
So I remember even with the Steelers a few years back with either Tyler Boyd or AJ Green caught a ball at the end of the game too. It's just like that cannot fucking happen.
They shouldn't have been in a position where he had a 75-yard throw. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. They played so soft leading up to that. You gave him the ball back with no timeouts or maybe one timeout and 29 seconds left on the thing. It's like, no, dude, you stay on the sidelines. You don't let them get out of bounds. That's what you do right now. Because then that's it. The game's over if they don't get out of bounds. The game's fucking done. You saw it happen in the Jets game with the Pats. It was just like, no, they're not getting up there. It's done. Rodgers just kind of stops jogging. It's like, okay, cool. We're good to go. And that's it. Like that's the way you finish out a game. And
I was nervous for the Hail Mary for that too, because if there's anyone that could throw a Hail Mary.
Yeah, but they did the right thing, right? They stayed on the sidelines. They didn't want to get embarrassed. Like they've probably seen the Bears get. They stayed in the sidelines. They didn't get them out of bounds. They held them up. They wasted time on the. That's what you do in that situation, man. Jesus.
Even after Eberflus said it didn't matter, that play. He said it didn't matter. That was 15. I just don't understand.
Oh, I have not enjoyed the things that have been coming out of that man's dumb fucking mouth for the last few days. I have not enjoyed them at all. I really haven't. at the end of the day, I don't think you could find a discerning football fan that watches the NFC North that would realistically rank him above fourth as in the coaching rankings in the NFC North. Right? I mean, there's 4 other better coaches in that division right now. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to have to fucking start over again, but it's killing me. I really do think Caleb Williams is good. Is the thing. I really, really, really think he's good. And it's hard to. That game really felt like a marathon too. Like it went on for a long time. It was a slog. Like it wasn't nothing crazy was going on. I felt emotionally exhausted at the end of it, and not just because of the Hail Mary. But anyway, I can't talk about it anymore. I'll commit suicide live on air. Okay, we're going on to the 5-3 Broncos and honorable mentions. That might have taken too long, so we have to power through these honorable mentions here. Broncos are flirting with the power rankings, Bob, or no?
Yeah, Bo Nix. I'm on the Bo Nix train. I'm excited about mediocre Corden. I'm on that train. Taysom Hill 2.0.
Yeah, that's Bobby's favorite thing to do is find a very average QB and be really on his team for the entirety of the season. Bengals, we actually already talked about briefly. Falcons, I don't know, unconvincing the last 2 weeks. They're playing the Cowboys next. If they go 6-3 with the Cowboys, I think they've re-entered the conversation on maybe good. Colts, we talked about them at the top of the show. Flacco, all that stuff. Did anyone want to weigh in on the trick or treat fucking Seahawks? Like, are they good? Are they not good? Like, which Seahawks is very Jekyll and Hyde over there? Which Seahawks team is showing up week to week?
So how you feel about Tampa Bay is how I feel about Seattle.
Interesting.
I just think that they, like, to me, I think Tampa Bay just got more talent. So I feel like they could find a way to sneak in and be like a 7 seed. I mean, Geno Smith has never been a guy. I mean, granted, Geno Smith has had a resurgence in Seattle, so
A
I
couple
haven't
years,
watched.
not so bad, yeah.
He's done well for the most part, but to me, I'm a big Kenny Walker fan. I feel like they should give him
Me
the ball
too.
more, and they just don't. So I feel like he should be involved in the offense a little bit more. I think having that balance for Gino would do wonders for him, especially at this stage of his career. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they make some plays at times, but they're not consistent enough to be a team that you look at them and say, okay, they can be in that 6 or 7 seed come playoff time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little worried about them. I mean, I really do. I have a soft spot for their team because I like them. Like I like DK, I like Tyler Lockett, I like Eddie Walker. I like a lot of their weapons down. I like their tight end Font. And I
Yeah.
like Geno Surgeons, but I think you're right. Like they just come out and lay eggs sometimes, and it's just a little concerning. I can see them being in that Bucks, Falcons, Seahawks tier, I guess, right? Like they're sort of, not
Mhm.
amazing, but not good, but there's very up and down. Chargers, but Bobby, you mentioned something about the Chargers on the last show. You really think Harbaugh's got those guys cooking over there? I think defensively they look locked up, and I really do think it's proven that coaching was their issue last year, but maybe even more so than we thought. And we thought it was a lot of their issue, to be
They're
totally
playing
honest with
Har
you. Are you a Herbert guy?
They're finally. Of course, I've been a Herbert guy since he came in the league. They're finally playing Harbaugh ball over there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
It's They're finally playing Harbaugh ball, and it's the right brand of football for this team. I love J.K. Dobbins out of the backfield too. He's really showing out.
Yeah. Yeah, I still think that probably not this year, but I would be really interested to see what they do in the offseason. They're very, interesting going into the offseason, coming out of next offseason team. I think they could go from strength to strength. Niners, again, I mean, we say it every week, like, they're not gonna be in the cross-offs, but they're not gonna be in the power rankings. I mean, I know they're 4-4 now. They're a different 4-4 than, say, like, the Cardinals or the Bucks. Like, of all the 4-4 teams, I would probably put them up a little higher. I also still think they're probably a little bit better than, like, say, the 5-3 Broncos, maybe even better than the 5-3 Falcons. But probably not as good as any of the teams that more wins than them. And I think it makes sense that they're not in the power rankings still. They're very injured. It's going to happen when you put a lot of injury prone guys on the team. We sort of said this was going to happen, right? So I don't know until they start getting guys back, and really until we know what McCaffrey's status is going to be for the second half of the season. I don't know. I don't know about them yet. I don't think they're making the Super Bowl. I don't think this is the same team as last year, but they're always like a little better every week than I think they're going to be, despite their injuries. So we'll see. Bucks, they lost the Falcons. They're injured. Chiefs next. They're probably going to go under 500 next week.
mhm.
I hate to say I told you so, but fucking, the Bucks, like I know that they're not terrible, and I'm not saying they're terrible, but like when people start to get excited about a Baker Mayfield led team, I point them to all the other years that he led a
Yeah.
team. That's
Well, no,
all.
I mean, outside of 2020, but I think with him, he's obviously and once again, this is a notion for most quarterbacks, but especially someone like him who didn't have a great first stint of his career. Quarterbacks like him have to have everything around them look right and go right. So when you have Evans and Godwin healthy and Cade healthy,
Yeah, he can execute
yeah,
at a full intelligence.
he can throw it over the parking lot because he's talented enough to get to the ball when those guys are out there. So yeah,
He
any
can run
any
an offense. Like I'm
any
not saying he can't.
any variation of those guys not being out there, obviously is where him or any other quarterback would get exposed. So once again, I was only high if they were healthy, but like not being healthy, coupled with how Baker performs as the season wanes, it's not a recipe for success. So, and like I said, with them about to face Kansas City, we talked about it on a previous show, but yeah, they should be 4-5 come Monday night, and it's like it might go downhill from there if guys aren't healthy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Eagles have officially made it onto the power rankings this season. They look like they might have that offense figured out, guys. What do you think? Saquon Barkley, Hurts keeps vulturing his touchdowns in the red zone, but they're scoring. Jalen Hurts, 4 TDs. He's moving with his feet. The guys are starting to click. What do you think? I mean, the Bengals are a decent team. I thought that was a good performance. I think they're warranted here at number 10.
I think it's finally show. Yeah, they're
Bob?
finally showing exactly who they are. Sirianni, I feel like they win despite
He's such a
they
clown, though,
win
isn't
they
he?
win despite him every single week. That's my opinion on him. I just feel like
Kellen Moore's offense looks like it's
yeah,
rolling now.
exactly. And if the Bengals, I still think the Bengals are gonna make the playoffs in the AFC. AFC stinks. So I feel like beating up on them as bad as they did is better with what it looks like.
Yeah. Ray, would you categorize these guys as contenders to come out of the NFC this year still?
Yeah, I mean, when healthy, it's a good team, right? And like
Right,
Bobby said,
coach.
right, bad coaching. But I'm saying like sometimes the talent supersedes what the coaching is, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, of course, obviously, once you get to the playoffs, there's guys that's going to scheme a little bit better, but it goes down to who wants it more, right? I feel like they've heard the chatter about how weak they've looked at times, meaning Philadelphia, and some teams have thought it's been sweet. They thought it's been real sweet against them. So I think they, they're starting to figure it out at the right time. But also, when you get AJ Brown back, when you get Devontae Smith back, and once again, obviously, Barkley has done really well in his time there.
Auto weapons.
Yeah, a lot of weapons, and they're well on their way to starting to catch fire. So, it's deserving for them to be where they are. And I think if they keep winning, obviously they'll raise up the list pretty quickly.
Well, a great contrast being the team going the other way, plummeting from number 2 as an all-time high in the power rankings. The Minnesota Vikings are here at 5-2. They having really fallen from grace in the 2-game skid. Bobby, you've executed these fucking guys. They're one loss away from leaving the power rankings. They were in second place last week. What happened to the Minnesota Vikings?
A pretty bad loss to an okay. It's funny because you keep talking about Sam.
If they lose to the Colts, we're fucked,
Oh yeah,
right?
if they lose to the Colts, they're coming off.
Jesus.
They're coming off for sure. You keep talking about Sam
Yeah.
Darnold, and I feel like that's the reason why I plummeted them. Is the Sam Darnold trick or treat is finally coming out to play, and it's only a matter of time before the NFC North really takes a toll on the Vikings. You know what I mean? The NFC North is the toughest
Yeah.
division in the entire football league. So,
Well, I mean, who was it that exposed him? It was the Lions. The Lions came out and were like, "Nah, like we're the dogs in this division, dude. Like we're gonna show you." And I expected that to happen. I fully expected it to happen. But I do think they're down on a downtrend just by nature of their 2-game skid. But Ray, you think they can crawl back up these PRs? What do you think?
I mean, I think obviously, I think they have to win this week, obviously. But even then, like if they won this week, I feel like maybe you jump up to 7-6. Like it's not something where
Right.
you jump up
It's
to.
not beating the Colts is just going to keep you alive. It's not even
Yeah,
going to make
what I'm saying
you.
is I feel like now if they won like 44-10, maybe you get up to like maybe 5, maybe, but nothing higher than that. Once again, they just have to go back to what's been working. So getting the ball to Justin Jefferson, it seems like Jordan Addison is having a KJ Osborne moment. He feels like he needs to be free. So maybe they get him up out of there to another team. But yeah, they just have to keep the weapons open. Is Hawkinson still there? Is he still there over there? And
he's
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah,
Minnesota?
he's coming back.
So to me, I thought TJ Hawkinson was baby Gronk, so I felt like you should be
I
getting
think
him.
they get him back in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I
So,
think
making a difference. Yeah.
that's a game changer there. So I feel like the more guys you get around, I don't know, once again at this stage, the better he'll look, obviously. So, but yeah, I do think, like I said, if they have a convincing win, they have a chance not only just to stay afloat, but to move up a little bit higher on the list. But not ready to give up on that whole
They're
train
the
just yet.
opposite of the Eagles.
All right, fair enough.
Where they're
I mean, yeah, they're a perfect little twosome down here at 9 and 10. To be honest,
Mhm.
juxtaposition. They're like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn sitting nicely down here at 9 and 10. I have to, I really haven't taken issue with your rankings, Bob. I really think that we've been on the same page a lot over the next few weeks, but I'm going to have to ask you to defend something here. The Packers are 8, the Steelers are 7, the Ravens are 6, and the Commanders are 5. Just moving the Packers aside for a second, we'll talk about them in a second. I understand why they're at 8. I don't think that beating the Jags should really do much for you, but I really think it is, if I'm looking at it, probably more about the Vikings losing and dropping a little bit than it is about the Packers winning. So I think that makes sense. The Steelers being below the Ravens and the Commanders, I actually think I take issue with. Now, obviously, we operate on different sides of the spectrum here, but you were the one that's put that phrase into my head last week, that Russell Wilson looked like the missing piece over there in Pittsburgh. And I think that looked doubly true, and especially in the second half against the Giants. I understand that it was the Giants, but there was a couple of ticky-tack fouls and a couple of little drop passes that make it that the Steelers are 46-10. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't think there was anyone thinking the Giants were going to win that game as we were watching it. That offense can now move the ball, and the defense is still as good as we thought that they were. So to me, if you compare that to the Ravens losing a game, and they're inside this division that Pittsburgh is pretty historically dominated. I know it's different teams now. And I'm high on the Ravens. Don't get me wrong. I think they deserve to drop from that loss. It was a bad loss. You can't be losing to the Browns. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Commanders, if we're being honest, like the Bears put a lot of stuff on tape. I'm mad at them, but they put a lot of stuff on tape about how to do things against that Cliff Kingsbury defense now, which I did tell you guys starts to happen to Cliff Kingsbury defenses as the season progresses. Things get put on tape and that he doesn't make huge offensive adjustments. Also, he has a rookie quarterback. I'm looking at this Commanders team. They got pretty fucking lucky that the Bears are a pack of idiots. And all of a sudden they're number 5. I think the Steelers looks like a more legit number 5 candidate for me. Now, I think you could still put the Commanders above the Ravens, but I don't know. 5 for the Commanders. I feel like they're going to get found out. I don't know. I'm so biased because I'm so deep into it after last week. So maybe I sound insane. Tell me if I sound insane.
No, you don't sound insane. I feel like I got excited about that Commanders win. That's what jumped them up because you know what I mean? It's because I can't. No, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels looks like a legit MVP candidate. He really does, man. I know the Bears played the bend don't break defense the entire game. They let over 5 drives into the red zone. I just feel like when it comes to the Steelers, Russell Wilson is the missing piece, but they're not jumping up over the Ravens yet. Not quite yet.
Ray, would you agree with any of my sentiments?
I mean, I think maybe if you put Washington at 6, maybe I think that's still, but 5 or 6 to me is accurate. I do think that not just only this show, but I think there's a lot of shows that do power rankings. We probably had them around that same slot because of how they won, not necessarily how they looked the whole game. And yes, to the Jaden Daniels point, he looks for real, right?
No, he does. I'm gonna say,
and it's just like he is someone that obviously has given them hope since RG3, 12 years ago. So,
I mean, how proud was I of the Bears defense for keeping him quiet for 99% of the game?
Yeah. I mean, stat wise, once again, obviously, if you looked at the game, you see what happened. But stat wise, I felt like he did better than Caleb in the moment. But like I said, defensively, like I said, they didn't do enough. Meaning Washington at times, but
they're looking better defensively, though. I mean, I think he's starting.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, once again, I don't see them dropping off from 5 even next week when we do this because of who they're facing. Like they should put up at least 30 on the Giants this week. So to me, I'm just like they're a team that they've got consistently better for the most part each week, and they're just riding the train of Jaden Daniels. So, but like I said, 6 could have been an argument, but I don't have an issue with 5. But I do agree with the Russell Wilson thing. I do think that he's been a guy that it's exactly what they needed, and like I said, Justin Fields probably won't see the field again over there unless something happened to Russell.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying about the Commanders. I just couldn't put them above the Ravens. So I do get the point about the Commanders. So I do.
But like, are you not seeing what I know that you guys both fucking hate the Steelers for different reasons, but like I'm looking around at that defense and there's studs everywhere. Larry Ogunjobi, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter Jr. Like these guys are all really elite at their positions. That defense even looks special, and all they needed was the offense. There's a little pixie dust around there all of a sudden, I think. Are you not seeing it? Are you not feeling it? Are you in denial?
No, no. Listen, Pittsburgh has always been talented. That's not.
But now they look like they've solved their last few problems all of a sudden. Don't you think?
I mean, once again, when you name off that many guys on the defense side of the ball,
with all recognizable names, they're all selling jerseys.
Right. It speaks to their commitment to get back to what their calling card was, which is being a tough note defensive team. I think that in a lot of years of Roethlisberger, they catered everything offensively because he had gotten so good offensively that he could throw for 4,500 yards.
But the first Super Bowl he wins on the back of his defense.
Well,
and his
right.
running.
So it's still Brady. So I mean, I get it,
Sure.
but it's just like that.
No, it's not a knock on Roethlisberger. It's just that like you get the last 2 times the Steelers have won the Super Bowl. One of them is because they had an elite defense. The other one is because they had an elite defense and an elite offense. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly. Yeah. And like I say, we're close to getting a third one in 5 years. And
right.
so so that's that. But yeah, I mean, listen, they'll be there. Once again, this is the Russell Wilson that I had raved about a couple of years ago, and now he's back on the map, and I love it because I've always
Him
been
and
a
Arthur
fan.
Smith look like a fucking match made in heaven, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing. We talked about Dallas earlier in the show. It's and I get it because they had Najee Harris and whatever, but I'm like, if you're Arthur Smith and you had him in Tennessee, how do you not reach out to Derrick Henry and say, "Hey, we need you, big dog. We need you."
They have
We
a
need
lot
you.
of running backs, though. They have a lot of running backs. I
Yeah,
mean, they have
but I'm
Najee
yeah,
Harris, they have
Derrick
Cordell
Henry's
Patterson coming back. They have
yeah.
Warren. I know. Obviously, Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. I get it. Anyone losing the Derrick Henry sweepstakes, like that sucks, right? I get it.
Right, correct.
If it was there, and yeah, that's true. I think it's worse in Dallas personally. I really would rather see them trade for, because they look good and it looks like Russ can do what Arthur Smith wants him to do and what Mike Tomlin wants him to do, which is win these games, right?
Mhm.
Run that offense. Like it really looks like he's just running that offense really, really, really well.
Mhm.
I would like to see 2 things happen. One's for thee, one's for me. I would love to see them make a trade to get another wide receiver in there. I think that Russ and Pickens having that connection is great. I think that's huge. I think that's like, they're obviously working out together. Pickens obviously was not feeling Justin Fields at all. And, was kind of playing like a douchebag and, it wasn't looking good. He seems to have turned his whole season around. Russell Wilson coming in. The other thing I'd love to see is just some design Justin Fields plays. Now that everybody's cool, and we talked about this last week on the Power Rankings. It's very clear that they told Justin Fields that Russ was coming back, and they were very upfront with him. Like, once he gets healthy, he's going to come back in, no matter how you perform, I think. And he said all the right things coming out, unless he went absolutely insane. But he said all the right things coming out, and it looks like him and Russ have a good relationship on the sideline, because to me, I mean, he hated the quarterback room in Chicago. That was like no secret. Him and Andy Dalton did not get along at all. So, there was no like bringing in a vet to coach him. He actually respects Russell Wilson. He grew up watching Russell Wilson. He doesn't respect Andy Dalton. And you know what? I get it. If you're trying to be an elite quarterback, you're probably not trying to listen to the fucking Red Rocket. Let's be honest. You got Russell Wilson. The man's been to the show, and he's been to the show and won. So here we are, right? I'd love to see both of those things happen. I really do think the Steelers are going to force your hand, Bob. I think they're going to keep moving up. I really do think that they're eminently watchable. I mean, we're 1 year removed from a Matt Canada worst offense I've ever seen. And they were still winning games. They were still winning games on the back of their defense. So
Right.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Let's jump up. Texans. They barely beat the Colts, but I still think, like, I don't know. I like them. I mean, I like CJ Stroud. I like the way that they play football. Tank Dell's, can you depend on him for an entire season? Remains to be seen. I hope that he gets a healthy room of weapons coming down the stretch. That would be my big worry for the Texans. Some naivety on the coaching side of the ball this season compared to last season. The shine of them being like the kind of we didn't see them coming is starting to wear off. That's going to happen to a sophomore team. I'm leaning more towards they're going to be able to react to it. And I think a 6-2 record in the first 8 games is a reflection of that. A lot of people are talking about how they've won some of those games hasn't looked dominant necessarily, but I don't know. You guys could see them clicking all of a sudden, right? And they're beating teams by 20, 30 points.
Losing Diggs hurts, but Nico Collins coming back will at least help that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Is he out?
Diggs,
I didn't
yeah,
actually hear
he's
anything.
Yeah,
about that.
he's out for the year. Yeah, that's the year. So yeah, that obviously is a big blow. But to me,
Nico Collins is a fucking beast, though, dude. That guy's
Yeah,
like
no,
9
he-
feet
he
long.
is,
He's a
but-
Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always talk about the style points, and I'm like, yo, this is not college football, bro. It's not. I'm sorry.
He's a win. You're right. This is how the NFL works.
It's too hard. Yeah, it's too hard to get a win in the NFL.
Yep.
Once
Agreed.
again, living that life right now, it's too hard to win. So, however you get it, I don't care if it's 13-10, 14-2, whatever. Like you got to find a way to win a game, regardless of who's behind center. So, and once again, Phil's getting respect in there. Once again, you go 4-2, and hold it down while Russ was out. Like that's amazing. So he got respect in that locker room. So it's all good. And once again, if it leads to another job elsewhere, he did what he was supposed to do. So it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's been good for his career so far. I don't think I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything negative about him. I still see a lot of the stuff that he did when he was in Chicago. A lot of the things that I didn't like about his game when he was in Chicago. There's passes juxtaposed against Russ. There's passes Russ makes where I'm like, man, that's just some veteran quarterback shit right there. There's things that Russ does, and I didn't see this at all in Denver. So I don't know what the fuck was going on there. I thought he had completely exploded, but he looks like that Russ that holds those numbers, those stats of like most touchdowns, most yards outside of the pocket, most completed passes on rollout plays, most, all of these kind of Russell Wilson stats that he holds that don't look anytime like they're a little more specific, but he looks like that guy again to me. Maybe not quite as dynamic on his feet, but he does it at the right time and he makes all the right decisions. And he also does this thing I really like where when he's throwing a check down, he throws it to the side of the guy's shoulder that he wants him to run. And I just think that is such a crazy elite skill that I've only ever seen a handful of quarterbacks do, where he actually guides the ball to the place where the wide receiver has to catch it and his momentum is going to take him around the guy coming towards his back, right? And he did it 2 or 3 times in that game where I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ, like this guy is an absolute stud. Like he just still has that arm talent where he's like, he decided to put that on that guy's right shoulder instead of his left shoulder to send him right. And he then the guy rolls the correct way and he gets 5 extra yards and he doesn't get lit up by the first guy. I watch him he's a very conscientious passer. We brought up Montez Sweat earlier, super conscientious tackler. He was hitting Jaden Daniels, getting to him, and he was bringing him down like a soft little baby. I was like, Tez, I really appreciate that, dude. Like, that's great. I want you to be a conscientious tackler. Nobody should get hurt. But, like, you light him up once. The man came in with his fucking ribs taped up. Like, just hit him bat one time. But he's a really conscientious, like, thrower of the ball. I mean, we talked a lot this season about the soundbite of, was it Devontae talking about Jimmy G? Where he's like, I got to get out of here, man. This guy's putting me in danger. he's absolutely. Russ throws the ball and he keeps his receivers safe. And he can play that really kind of globby, soft offense that he played in Seattle. But it's also, Steelers hard-nosed running, backing him up, like really like down the pipe running. Yeah, he doesn't have Marshawn Lynch. Okay. But does he have a better defense now than he did all time in Seattle? Is that true?
No,
No?
it's not. It's not.
No,
It's
that-
not
don't think so?
Legion of Boom.
Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner.
TJ Watt is already a one-time defensive player of the year.
It's
Looking down the barrel at 2.
It's the second best defense by absolutely. Like there's no other defense you can talk about. But what they had in Seattle early in his career was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Them dudes.
Remember
was
they
shutting down.
took
it was
down that Denver
unreal.
offense like it was nothing. So
Right, 43-8.
No, they were good.
Like,
Richard Sherman was good.
Yeah.
They were good. They had really
Cam,
good linebackers for sure. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, and I'll say it's definitely the best defense he's had since the early days in Seattle.
Since like 2011.
Yeah, but, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like that, that goes without question. To say otherwise would be foolish. But yeah, I mean, if what's wild, it just dawned on me. Maybe they should have traded for Devontae.
Yeah, I was kind of saying
him and Pickens would have been crazy.
I kind of think they need a slot guy. They need like a really efficient slot guy. I was really pulling for Cooper Kupp when he was on the table, and now it doesn't look like he is. Because I feel like Pickens is a real sideline guy. He's a real kind of deep ball guy. He's not going to get fed a ton over the middle.
Maybe they call Seattle about his former teammate, Tyler Lockett. I think they were one of the best combos in the league when he was there. So
Tyler Lockett's sick.
Why not? Why not?
I got his autograph on my wall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I love that guy. All right, well, let's take a look at this top 4 here. We can't play the game because it's 3 AFC teams, 1 NFC team. But what I do want to ask, and I'm going to ask you a leading question to sort of round out this show. The Texans, the Bills, the Lions, and the Chiefs. That's the list from 4 to 1. Of those 3 teams, Lions at 2, Bills at 3, Texans at 4, which one of those teams stands the best chance as of right now of dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs? Because to me, it's looking like
Got to
the
be
Lions.
the Lions, right? With that offense, and that's the only one that can actually out.
If they play the Super Bowl next week, if they put Kansas City, I mean, shit, we could even ask the question, which one of those 3 teams looks most likely to hand in their first loss? So, I mean, this team just keeps on fucking winning, but I'm just trying to make it not boring. Saying that the Chiefs are the best team in the league every week because they are. Bobby hasn't deleted the number 1 spot on the power rankings at all this year, unlike last year. So, I mean, the Texans look decent, but they might be a little young. The Bills are still mistake prone in the red zone at times and in high pressure situations. The Lions look like they built a culture down there. I still do think that I would probably mortgage my fucking future if I was Dan Campbell and the Lions and just try to get a Max Crosby in there. Because imagine when Hutchinson comes back. I mean, this is crazy stuff that they could be putting together over there. This is go for it on 4th down territory in the market right now. So that's what I would say to Dan Campbell and the Lions. And honestly, I know they're a divisional opponent of mine. I mean, I talk to Leah all the time. Like, she has such a visceral hatred for every other one of the 3 teams in her division just by the merit of the fact that they're in her division. Like, she just has a blind rage when the Bengals get brought up, when the Browns get brought up, and then for obvious reasons that, the one I think that she would hate the most, the Ravens. The Lions, dude, I mean, they were so good at losing to us for so long. They were so good at losing all 16 games in a season back when we played 16 games. I mean, they were just so bad. I'm pulling for them. This has been a terrible franchise for the entirety of my life, the whole of my life. And I'm not young. And despite them being a divisional opponent, I mean, I don't think the Bears have it this year. So I'm liking the Lions. I want to see them smash the Packers 2 times. I want to see them smash the Vikings 2 times. And I want to see him make a run. I want to see him be the team that leads the NFC. So they would be my pick. Any argument for the Bills or the Texans dethroning the Chiefs?
I mean, I like Houston, but more so for the second.
I like Houston too,
but more so for the point of like just handing them their first loss. So they played. I don't see anyone in the AFC dethroning Kansas City in the playoffs before it gets to the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I feel like Detroit's the only team that could dethrone. Which again, that's a wild statement to say that, because once again, they have been essentially purgatory since we've been alive. Yes, they've had Barry Sanders and Herman Moore and Scott Mitchell, Lomas Brown, but we grew up through the Joey Harrington era.
Megatron, man.
Megatron, Charles Rogers, Roy Williams.
But they've never been shit, though. Let's be honest.
You said what?
They've never been shit. They've never been anything. We've never had to worry about them being.
No, right? Yeah, exactly. So it's like they've had so many guys come through there, and even right now too, I feel like Jameson Williams was really good. Just continues to get into off the field trouble. So
I know that's tough.
I made a joke to somebody earlier. I said, "Well, come be a head case in New England because we need you."
Well, I think he's in a good spot actually for them to sort of turn his behavior around. I think that they, I hope that they treat that correctly, and I don't know. I hope they
for sure. Like, I think and the thing is, stop having yes men around you.
Yeah, grow up.
Grow up, because it leads to your demise. And once again, your vision as a football player is not the people that surround you. They don't have the same vision. So you got to make sure that you have the clear vision and that the people around you have the same vision, so that everybody eats. So
you got to remember, like, human nature is that everybody is essentially inherently selfish. Right. So you gotta look out for number one on that front. Right. You got to make sure that you're not getting bled dry by the people around you while this stuff is happening, because most people are just out for themselves at the end of the day. Right. That's just human psychology. Except when it comes to you guys. I'm here for you guys. Ride or die. We're here for that. This has been the Power Rankings, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, Chiefs. Number 2, Lions. Number 3, Bills. Number 4, Texans. Number 5, Commanders. Number 6, Ravens. 7, Steelers. 8, Packers. 9, Vikings. 10, Eagles. 33rd, Chicago Bears. Don't forget, I don't think we'll have another show before this happens. Whether you're voting your conscience, or you're voting your mind, or you're voting in any way, don't forget to go vote. It's very important. It's your civic duty, especially if you're young. Don't let old people decide things for you. Get out there, get your voice heard. I don't care who you vote for. Secretly, I do, but there's rules I have to follow in this show. Good night, everybody.
Dreaming of the perfect event or longing for a clutter-free space? I'm Stephanie with I'm with Steph, where your vision becomes a reality. From magical weddings to transformative home organizing, we bring you expertise and passion to every project. Whether you're planning a grand celebration or seeking peace through organization, we tailor our services to meet your unique needs. I'm with Steph. To explore our services and connect with me directly, visit I'mWithSteph.com. Mention Electricast for a 20% discount.
Everyone has heard about the U.S. space program, but what is actually going on at NASA? Get the real story in 4 minutes or less with the NASA Daily Podcast from Electricast. Join astronauts and researchers as they conduct groundbreaking experiments, work on the International Space Station, and reach for the stars. NASA Daily, your cosmic update.
Electricast.